The chair my daughter Claire used to pull close to the kitchen window every Sunday holds nothing now but a folded quilt, because 2 years ago she stopped calling, stopped visiting, and I still do not fully know why. If these honest words are a comfort to you, subscribe to the channel so we can keep walking this road together. There is a particular quiet that fills a house when a child stops coming home. It sits in the corners. It hums under the fridge. And if you have a child who has pulled away, who no longer calls, you know this exact silence. I do not want you to sit in it alone. So let me tell you where the ache actually lives. The last time Claire called, it was short, a few minutes, mostly weather and long pauses, and the call after that never came. I keep thinking there should have been a warning, a slammed door, one big terrible fight I could point to and say, there, that was the day. There wasn't. Just a slow fading. Like a room going dark, so gradually you don't notice until you can't read the page anymore. Then came the birthdays, 2 years of them. Each time I set a card out on the windowsill, wrote her name inside in my careful hand, walked it down to the mailbox and lifted that little red flag. And each time, nothing came back, no card, no call, just my empty hand and the quiet where her voice used to be. If you have a daughter who no longer calls, you already know the sound this house makes at night. So I did the only thing I knew how to do. I prayed. But looking back on it now, I prayed like a woman trying to fix a lock with the wrong key, jiggling it, forcing it, certain that if I just pushed a little harder, the thing would finally give. Soften her heart, I said. Bring her home. Make her see what she is doing to me. I said her name into the dark at 3 a.m, like an argument I was determined to win. Claire, over and over, as if the right words, in the right order, would somehow reach her wherever she was sleeping and turn her back toward me. And every single morning, the phone stayed quiet. And I stayed tired. That kind of praying, I have learned, does not rest you. It wears you down to the thread. Mine had stopped feeling like sitting with God and started feeling like carrying a heavy suitcase up the same flight of stairs. Morning after morning, never once reaching the top. I would wake, reach for my coffee, find it already gone cold in the mug, and start climbing all over again. Then came one gray Tuesday when I sat at that window with my coffee cold in my hands, and for the first time in 2 years, I simply ran out of words. I had nothing left to demand, nothing left to fix, and what rose up out of me instead was not anything I had prayed in all that long, tired time. That gray Tuesday, with my coffee gone cold in my hands, I had nothing left to demand. So instead of telling God how to change Claire, I just held her up. The way you hand a sleeping child to someone with stronger arms. And I whispered it slow into that rain-streaked window. She is yours, and you love her more than I ever could. I want you to feel how quiet that was. No begging, no arguing in the dark. For 2 years, my prayers had all been instructions, a list of things I needed done. Soften her, bring her back, and here I was, lips barely moving, my hands open in my lap like I was letting something go that I had gripped so long my fingers ached. And then nothing. I want to be honest with you, because you deserve honesty and not a fairy tale. Nothing about her changed that day. The phone sat on the table, still and dark. It did not light up. She did not call. The kitchen was as silent as it had been all morning. Her chair by the window still holding that folded quilt and no one else. But something in me unclenched. I can only call it that. Somewhere under my ribs, a knot I had carried so long I had stopped feeling it, just quietly came loose. And I sat there, a little stunned, because I had prayed for her to change for 2 years, and instead, something moved in me. Now here is the turn, and I misunderstood it for years, so let me say it plainly. the way I wish someone had said it to me. Letting go of that gripping, aching prayer did not mean I was giving up on Claire. That is what I had been so afraid of. That if I stopped pushing, stopped fixing, stopped rehearsing my case, it would mean I had abandoned my own daughter. It did not mean I loved her less. If anything, I loved her more freely. What it meant was this: I finally stopped trying to be her savior. That was a job I was never strong enough to hold. I had been trying to carry her home by the sheer force of my worry, and no mother alive is strong enough for that, so I handed her over to a love far bigger than mine. And I will tell you, there was relief in that, a relief so deep I nearly cried. But there was grief in it too, because handing her over meant admitting out loud that I could not drag her back through that door by force, that some doors only open from the other side. Tell me in the comments, is there someone you are praying too hard for tonight? Someone you keep trying to carry when your arms are already full? And if this is meeting you where you are, take a moment and subscribe. I would love for you to stay. There is an old psalm that reminds us we are held even in the dark. For a long time, those were just words to me, but I began to find them true, one ordinary morning at a time. Not all at once, just a little more light on the windowsill each day. Because here is the strange gift of that quieter prayer, the part I never expected. It did not change Claire at all. It changed me first. And it started with something as small as finally being able to sleep. For 2 years, I lay awake in the dark and rehearsed. If she ever called, I would say this, or maybe this. I built whole conversations out of nothing, argued both sides, and won every one of them by morning while the phone stayed quiet. Now, when I wake at 3, I do something different. I get up. I light a candle for Claire on the windowsill, that small flame trembling against the black glass. And I say the only thing I have left to say. She is yours, and you love her more than I ever could. Then I go back to bed and I rest. I want to be honest with you because you deserve honesty and not a tidy ending. The estrangement is not fixed. I will not sit here and pretend it is. The chair by the window is still empty. The quilt is still folded exactly where it was. 2 years of silence did not turn into a phone call the moment I learned to pray a softer prayer. That is not how this works, and I would never sell you that. So if you are truly struggling tonight, if the ache is more than you can carry alone, please reach out, call a friend who will sit with you and say nothing. Talk to someone at your church. Let a person you trust hold a little of the weight with you. You were never meant to do this in a locked room by yourself. But here is what has changed in me. I am no longer at war with the silence. For so long, that quiet felt like an enemy in the house, something to fight, something to fix. Now I have made a kind of peace with it. I set Claire's chair by the window where she used to sit every Sunday. I leave the door of my heart unlocked, not flung open, demanding she walk through it, just unlocked, ready without grasping. And this is the prayer I promised to tell you about, the one I finally learned. It is so simple I missed it for years. Sometimes the prayer that sets us free is not the one that changes them. It is the one that gently changes us. I spent all that time trying to pray my daughter into coming home, when the prayer God was waiting to answer was the one that would let me put the suitcase down. Something else went quiet in me too. I used to think I needed to know why she pulled away, what I did, what I could have done differently. I turned it over at 3 a.m. like a stone I could not stop picking up. And one day I realized I did not need the answer anymore to be able to rest, because she is held. Whether the phone rings or not, whether I ever understand or not, my daughter is carried by a love far bigger and steadier than mine. A psalm reminds us that we are held even in the dark. I have found that to be true, one ordinary morning at a time. If these words met you tonight, let this be the night you set the heavy prayer down. You have carried it up the same stairs long enough. Lay it at the bottom and leave it there. And that, I have found, is enough to carry you through. So I sit by the window, the chair is set, the candle is lit, the door of my heart stays unlocked, and I rest.